Disclaimer, it's about to get really feminist up in here, so if that's not really your thing, we can talk next week. Hi, I'm John, and this is my vlog. In television, we have a problem. I got really frustrated today in my critical studies class, which is all about television history, because we were talking about the concept of quality in television and how hard that is to define. And as part of the class, we were going through these different shows and saying, is this quality? Is this quality? And sometimes there were contention and sometimes things were pretty clear cut. Amongst everything else we talked about two network dramas, House and Ugly Betty. House MD, as you may or may not know, is a Sherlock Holmes meets medical show wherein Sherlock Holmes is reimagined to be this modern day diagnostician, is that word? Point is, he solves weird medical cases. Ugly Betty is about a Latina woman with a less than stellar appearance who gets a job at a fashion magazine and has to deal with issues of appearance and fitting in this workplace. People were very quick to say that House was quality, whereas most of my classmates said that Ugly Betty was not. Yes, Hugh Laurie's performance in House is amazing, but I think America Ferrera does an amazing job in Ugly Betty. And as far as visual style, House is a little more creative with its camera, but the shows are basically the same. And further, the plot lines of House become a lot more repetitive and typical than the plot lines of Ugly Betty. So really, the only distinction I can see between those two shows comes to feminism. Is that one deals with a man dealing with traditionally masculine issues such as anger, surliness, addiction, and the other is about a woman facing traditionally feminine issues like appearance, body issues, love, etc. I realize that there's a problem with labeling these things masculine and feminine in our modern day, but we're not going to get into that here. I'm going to keep using those labels. This is acknowledging that. And the thing is, this is not a new phenomenon. Most people know that television was relatively unrespected during its early eras, when a lot of the shows, the least objectionable programming, were soaps targeted to a housewife staying at home, and family shows shown during the evening. Most of these shows had a pretty feminine energy, and critics were very quick to address that when people actually started studying television as an art form. Television had been a very gendered space, but now people like to think we've moved beyond that. But the thing is, there's still a lot of this gendered issue in the way we discuss television. Let's look at the last 3 shows to win Best Drama in the Emmys: Breaking Bad, Homeland, and Mad Men. Theoretically, these are the most quality shows of every year, right? Breaking Bad is distinctly about how hard it is to be a man. I am so sick of shows about how hard it is to be a man. Because you know what's way harder than being a man? Being a woman. It's like White Man's Burden all over again, but no one's calling people out on it. Mad Men also dealt often with Don Draper's issues of masculinity, wanting to feel powerful, strong, and secure. And Homeland, while the main character is a woman, she's a federal agent, a traditionally masculine role. Also, while these shows occasionally deal with issues like marriage in the home, they tend to be about a lot more outside of that, making money, fighting crime, being crime. Their characters are acting in a lot more traditional masculine ways. We've equated masculinity with quality. It's a real thing. Meanwhile, feminized shows are labeled soaps and somehow seen as less than. Look at Grey's Anatomy. It's a well-written show, but the characters are all dealing with relationships and love and sticky, girly stuff. We'll give Downton Abbey a nomination, but of course we're never going to even put it in the conversation for the win. And even a show like Downton Abbey, which has a lot of feminine energy, also features Lord Grantham worrying with issues about keeping control of his house and his crazy daughters. It's everywhere. It's all over TV. Even Orange is the New Black, the show that I feel like does the best at trying to break this, has to do it safely within the confines of a prison. Oh, and we're gonna call it a comedy. Comedy is the bastion for femininity that's quality. Modern Family is a pretty feminine energy. It's all about family and love, right? But then of course Jay is always worried about being emasculated and keeping control of that crazy Manny who works outside the gender norms. Basically, here's the point of this whole video. Television is still very much a gendered place, and I would never say that Breaking Bad is not good. It's not my favorite show, that's a different conversation. Or Mad Men, or Homeland, the first season, or any of these other shows. I think they deserve to be considered quality. I just think our definition of quality needs to step outside this realm of grit and masculinity and consider that melodrama doesn't equal non-quality. And the struggles of being a feminine woman should be seeing as much weight in our shows that we are calling quality as the struggles of being a masculine man. Maybe even more, because let's face it, it's harder to be a woman. My camera's dying, so we're gonna wrap this up real quick. To go back to some disclaimer comments, I'm not saying these shows aren't good or don't have any value. I'm just saying that part of how we're defining quality television in our society right now is gendered. And again, masculinity is not always tied to men, femininity is not always tied to women. Those are problematic terms, or the terms we have, deal with it. Any other types of disagreements or counterpoints or agreements or anything you can put in the comments on this video, right down there. I'd love to start a conversation about it. That's what it's all about, right? You can like this video if you enjoy me having actual opinions on things more often, and if you feel so inclined to share it, that'd be okay. And next week's spring break, so I'm going to San Francisco and may not be able to post a video on Monday. If not, I will post one on Tuesday. Is that okay? I think that's okay. I'm gonna talk to you then, okay? Bye.